I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the New Forest. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're right at the northern end of the New Forest, almost on the Hampshire-Wiltshire border at a place called Bramshaw Telegraph, just by the road from Fordingbridge in the west, Cadnam in the east, also known as Roger Penny Way. Now we have done a walk from here in the past, but in that one we went primarily to the south. Today we're going to be doing a roughly 6-mile circular route to the north, taking in some quite beautiful woodland. And I'm going to take you to what, it might be the most romantic village that we've seen on the series so far, but more of that later. Now I'm filming at the end of March. It is a beautiful spring morning. The sun is out, blue sky, a little bit chilly, so hopefully Logan will be able to take his fleece off quite soon into the walk. Should be perfect conditions for going on a walk, so do come with us. Well, I've parked my car at the Forestry Commission car park at Telegraph Hill. It's not particularly big, but there is another one about 800 yards or so to the northwest at Turf Hill. Now, I say we're in the New Forest, we really are right on the edge. In fact, this is the only bit that we're going to be in the actual New Forest itself, but the rest of the walk will be in the New Forest National Park. Well, I've just crossed Roger Penny Way and we're going to start heading northwards. And just behind me here is a rather sweet cottage called Hope Cottage. Now the area around here is called Bramshaw Telegraph or Telegraph Hill, as there was once an Admiralty shutter telegraph station here. I actually went through the history of that when we came here last time, so do check out that video. Anyway, Hope Cottage was originally called Telegraph Cottage up until about 1840, and it's now a holiday cottage. Well, we've now officially crossed over the Hampshire-Wiltshire border and heading into Franchises Wood. It's quite a easy walk to follow, this one, because just about all of it is on woodland track, and so it's quite, I say it's easy to follow, you shouldn't get lost. Well, I mentioned that we're in Franchises Wood. In fact, the locals tend to call it Frenches, and it's something like 1,000 acres of quite glorious woodland. It was once owned by the Bishop of Winchester. In fact, it gets its name from the fact that the land was franchised from the bishop. But for generations, it's been in private hands. But it was bought by the Royal Society of Protection of Birds fairly recently. The actual acquisition was sort of facilitated through a gift in respect of a settlement between the previous owners and HMRC, together with a generous legacy and support from the New Forest National Park Authority and Friends of the New Forest. Well, apart from a couple of public byways that go through the woodland, for generations the area has been pretty much inaccessible to the general public, and as such it's become very much a haven for wildlife, particularly birds of prey and also some orchids and various fungi. It'll be interesting to see what happens now that the RSPB have taken it over. But basically, for the major part of this walk, we have to keep to the main track, and there are notices up just asking you to keep your dog under control, obviously particularly during the bird nesting season. But that's not going to spoil our walk, because I say it's a terrific track and you will feel as though you're right in the middle of a forest as you go along. I tell you, it is so peaceful in here. The odd bird twittering away, just looking around. This is some of the old banking from some enclosures, I'm guessing, in years gone by. I love the way it's covered in this green moss. because this time of year the bracken's still very much in that dead brown look about it from last year. None of the new growth has come through yet. And quite a difference in wood. So on the left hand side it's pretty much mainly conifers, but then if I just turn around to the right, a different type of tree completely, all deciduous. Looks as though they've been doing some tree felling and cutting back here, mainly of conifers, to open up a little bit of the landscape. So one of the downsides, I suppose, with conifers is that not a great deal grows underneath them, apart from, you know, sort of scrub and bracken and the odd bit of gorse, but so this will open it up. It'll be interesting to see what effect it has, because obviously these trees will absorb a fair bit of water. You can see there's some standing water here, so it may well get a little bit more damp out there over the next year or two, but it'll be fascinating to see how it develops. Goodness me, there's a fair wind has pushed that over, that's for sure. It just shows how shallow the roots are of some of these conifers here. And I guess because they've you know, done a lot of cutting back here, it just gives a little bit less protection for those that remain. And just where the byway comes through, I'm guessing again that it becomes like a funnel for the wind, because we are, well, yeah, we are one of the highest points of the forest. It's Piper's Weight isn't too far from here, which is the highest point in the New Forest. Oh, what an enchanting little stream there. I think it flows north to the River Blackwater, and then eventually joins the River Test and then out to the sea at Southampton. A heck of a journey. I'm guessing the source won't be that far away from here at Crow's Nest Bottom. Well, a little information point in the video, if you're going to be doing this walk after watching it. This is about as far northeast as I'm going. You need to look out for this sign that's behind me, the Wiltshire Cycleway, and we're now heading left in a sort of westerly direction. Beginning to get quite warm now. So we're continuing to head in a sort of northwesterly direction. There's a little byway just by me here that goes off to the northeast, which means I think behind all these rhododendron bushes is Hampworth Lodge, which I don't think you can see, but seeing as I've done all the research on it, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It was built in 1912 to replace an earlier 17th century manor house. I think parts of the old building were used, and it was built by the Tudor expert Harold Moffat, and he inherited the estate in 1884 after, well, allegedly, according to a legend, his family won it in a game of cards in 1870. Oh wow, look at this. What a delightful an enchanting thatched cottage. And look at the blossom out in all its glory. And oh, I love what's that at the very top? Is that a heron? Beautiful. The old dairy. Now there's a little heart on the gate there, and that gives us a clue as to where we're going next. Well, we've now reached our next destination, a really pretty little village. Now if you look on a map, you'd think, looking at the spelling, it was called Lover, but in fact it's pronounced Lover, as in Dover. Let's have a little exploration. Well, there's the village hall. I think it was built in the 1920s as a church hall and has been modernised. It's a really pretty village, as I mentioned already, full of quite glorious cottages. Right, we're going to be going to the left, but we're going to have a look up to the right first. Now, this house here on the right, I believe, used to be a pub called the Forester's Arms that closed either in the 1980s or the 1990s, and you can just about see on the side the sign of Gibbs Mews that's still there. And this is St Mary's Church, built in 1837 and restored in 1902. And it consists of a nave, chancel and south porch with a bell cote. And it's built of brick with stone dressing and there's a slate roof. I think it used to have a gallery inside, but that's now gone and some stairs remain. But the church originally was founded as a chapel to Downton, which is a village nearby, until about 1895. Okay, let's have a peep inside. I'm afraid I can't see any light switch, so fingers crossed this is going to come out okay. So, yeah, there's the gallery, or the remains of the gallery that I was talking about. I say it's quite a tall structure when you get inside, if that sounds a daft thing to say. And I'll look down here, there's the organ. There's a lovely stained glass window at the far end. I love this, just the arch here. What's that? Glory to God in the highest, on earth peace and goodwill to all men. And there's the pulpit. So I might have to put some photos up if it's too dark, but it gives you an idea anyway. Now, Lover was originally called Westminster Green, but by 1876 it was known as Lover, possibly a corruption of Lower Redlinch. Redlinch is the next village along. Well, as I mentioned, just as we came into the village, Lover looks like it should be pronounced Lover. And indeed, for many years, the local post office used to do a lot of business around Valentine's Day, as items posted from here were postmarked Lover. And the post office actually closed, I think 2005, 2008, something like that. But these days, the villagers organise a pop-up post office, which is open during the week of Valentine's Day, so that mail can still be stamped Lover. And they do have a website, so I'll put those details up on screen. And this is the old school. I think it was originally built in 1839 and then rebuilt in 1878. It closed in 2006, and in 2016 it was bought by the community. There is a preschool here, I think, in part of the old school, but as you can see, this is where they have the Lover Village pop-up post office. And this is the last thing that we're going to look at in the village. I think this is where the old post office used to be. It certainly looks very similar to a photo that I've seen on the internet. Well, what a lovely little village Lover is. So we're now heading southwards, just coming through a little hamlet called Bohemia, And then very shortly we'll be heading southeast back through some glorious woodland again. I've just caught my first sight of a brimstone. Now, can you see? Oh, there we go. Oh, I can never keep up with them. There we go. Lovely sight. I love that sort of lime green colour. Oh, just continue to walk through this really peaceful woodland. So just on the right here is the Cloven Hill plantation. Just panning around. That was a gorgeous yellow gorse out in all its glory in the sunshine today. And just panning around. This is, I think this is called Pound Bottom. So this must be the back of the sand extraction site. Sand had been extracted here since the 1980s, but I think they're going through the stages of infilling it now. I'm not 100% sure, and it might have been delayed. Well, we're nearly at the end of the walk now. This is a franchises lodge. Now, by the 1830s, I think it housed a couple of keepers and a woodsman for the estate. Basically, up until 1822, the whole area around here was known as Hampshire Common and was much more open land. And then trees were planted and enclosure banks and fences put up to protect the trees from deer and what have you, and hence the need for keepers. Well, there's a sad story linked to this area because round about these parts on the evening of the 19th of August 1839, one of the keepers, Thomas Mussell, accidentally shot a local woman by the name of Anne Hayter who was out collecting firewood. Apparently he thought she was a deer. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We thought we'd do the end scene here in front of this quite glorious display of daffodils. It really has been a truly amazing spring day's walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment. And do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. So until we meet again, thanks for watching and cheerio. Good boy.